All right, so today we're getting into the gas laws because up until this point, all we've talked about is the fact that at 1 atmosphere and 0 degrees Celsius, 1 mole of any gas takes up 22.4 liters of space. Well, what about if you're not at 0 degrees Celsius or you're not at 1 atmosphere? There has to be a way of calculating, yes, yay math, how much space that gas takes up. Okay, and so that's what the gas laws are all about. So you're going to come across a lot of laws. You're going to want to keep them straight. The Graham's law, ideal gas law, combined gas law, Boyle's law, Charles's law. There's lots of laws coming your way right now. Make sure you keep track of them and what they all mean. So the first one is really easy. There's no math to go with it. It's called Graham's law. You need to know about two terms, diffusion and effusion. Diffusion is the tendency of molecules to move from areas of high concentration to low concentration. So basically what that means is if I spray perfume in the corner of the room, it's going to spread throughout the room. Most people are going to smell it. It's not going to stay over there. Effusion is when gas is escaping through a tiny hole in its container. So if you get a hole in your tire, it escapes throughout that hole. It doesn't stay in the tire. Okay, it's still going from areas of high concentration to low concentration. But that's different. So diffusion is the sort of spreading throughout an area from high to low concentration. Effusion is when you're going from inside a container through a tiny hole out to the outside of the container. So what Graham's law says is basically the effusion of a gas is inversely proportional to the square root of the gas's molar mass. And you're all going, huh? What does that mean? Okay, so just put it in plain English. The effusion of a gas, so the ability of it to escape out of a tiny hole, is inversely proportional. Inverse means the opposite, so it's the opposite to the square root of the gas's molar mass. How big is the gas? So it makes sense. It's inversely proportional. The bigger the gas, the bigger the number on the periodic table, the slower it's going to go. Okay, the smaller the number on the periodic table, the faster it's going to effuse, the faster it's going to fit out of that hole. It's like a sports car versus an 18-wheeler. The 18-wheeler is much bigger, it's going to go slower. The sports car, much smaller, going to go a lot faster. Okay, so that's Graham's law. In order to be able to get through all of the gas laws, there are 4 variables that you're going to need to recognize. P stands for pressure. T stands for temperature, V stands for volume, and N stands for number of moles. Complex, I know, but I'm sure you'll be able to handle it. Our standard units that I want you to always be thinking in or convert to, if they're not already, are atmospheres for pressure, Kelvin for temperature, liters for volume, and obviously number of moles has to be number of moles. So if you're given grams, you might have to convert that into moles, and we all are experts at doing that now. So let's look at the 3 factors that affect pressure. We kind of already know this. The more gas you add, the more collisions you're going to have, and so that's going to affect the pressure. Okay, so if you reduce the amount of gas, you're going to reduce the amount of collisions, you're going to lower the pressure. Something to keep in mind is how temperature affects that. If you keep the temperature constant and you don't change it, if you double the amount of gas, you're going to double the pressure. Triple the amount of gas triples the pressure, and so on. Remember that gas moves from areas of high pressure to low pressure. Think of a hole in the tire. Or that's how an aerosol can works. By pushing down on the top, you're actually creating a hole in the can, and so the gas pushes its way out and brings whatever liquid in the can with it. So the first factor that can affect the pressure is how much gas you have. More gas, higher pressure. Less gas, lower pressure. The second factor that can affect pressure is the volume. If you make the container bigger, you're giving more room for those molecules to move around. If you have the same number of molecules, then you're actually going to lower the pressure. Right? Because if you increase the volume, they're not going to collide with the walls of the container as much, and so therefore less collisions means lower pressure. Okay? Try and keep it straight in your head. If you decrease the volume, make the container smaller, then you're going to push those molecules closer together. They're going to collide a lot more often. More collisions means higher pressure. So we have the amount of gas, the volume of the gas, and then finally, obviously, the temperature, as we know. really affects the pressure. If you raise the temperature, you're making those molecules move way faster. The faster they go, the more likely they are to collide with each other and the walls of the container. If you double the temperature, you're going to double the pressure. Okay, it's a proportional measurement. That's why those aerosol cans say do not incinerate, or warning, contents under pressure, because they do not want you to raise the temperature of that can up too high. Okay, because the pressure will basically make the can explode. All right, the next law, we've had Graham's law. Up next is Dalton's law. Dalton's law of partial pressures is really complicated. That's sarcasm. The total pressure of a gas is due to all the particles that make up the gas. So basically what it's saying is the total is the sum of all the parts. Okay? Dalton must have been a really smart guy. So the total pressure is the pressure of gas number 1 plus the pressure of gas number 2 plus the pressure of gas number 3, etc., etc. So let's say air is made up of oxygen, nitrogen, and a bunch of other gases. To get the total air pressure, you need the pressure of the oxygen plus the pressure of the nitrogen plus the pressure of all the other stuff. That'll give you the total air pressure. Okay? Like I said, it's real complex. So let's do an example. Okay, it says find the partial pressure of oxygen in a sealed container with a total pressure of 2.6 atmospheres and also contains CO2 at 1.3 atmospheres and helium at 0.22 atmospheres. Okay, so this is going to be tough. So we are told that the P total is equal to 2.6 atmospheres. Okay, the pressure of the CO2 is equal to 1.3 atmospheres, and the pressure of the helium is equal to 0.22 atmospheres, and we want to know what is the pressure of the oxygen gas in there. Okay, so clearly if we take the total pressure and subtract the other two pressures from it, you're going to get 1.08 atmospheres. Okay, get it? So here was your total pressure. Subtract out the ones they give you. You're left with the partial pressure of the oxygen, which is what it asks you for. Okay? It always helps to make a list. You're going to hear me say that a lot. I've always said a lot this year. Write what you know. Well, that's basically what I'm doing. Write what you know. Make a list. Let's take a brain break. You can pause the video here and see if you can figure these out. Ask me tomorrow in class. I'll tell you if you're right. Okay, the ideal gas law. It's called ideal because it makes the assumption that gas molecules are not attracted to each other and that they have no volume, and that's not true. Gas molecules, even though they're tiny, do have a volume. They are attracted to each other. It's not as strong as, say, a London dispersion force or another intermolecular force, but they are attracted to each other. However, if we took that into consideration, we would need to be able to do calculus in order to solve ideal gas law problems. So I want you to be able to do Algebra 1, and so therefore that's why we're going to stick with the idea that they're not attracted to each other and that they have no volume. So this is the ideal gas law. PIV NERT. That's what I say. You'll say it all the time too. We know what P stands for, pressure. It has to be in atmospheres. V stands for volume. That has to be in, do you remember? Liters. N stands for the number of moles. R we're going to skip over for a second. T stands for the temperature, and remember that has to be in Kelvin. So pressure times volume equals the number of moles times this thing called R times the temperature. And R is a special number that you're going to have to memorize. It's known as the gas constant, 0.0821. Okay? Atmospheres times liters over moles times Kelvin. I want you tonight, before you go to bed, to say to yourself 50 times, atmospheres, liters, moles, Kelvin. Atmospheres, liters, moles, Kelvin. Atmospheres, liters, moles, Kelvin. Because that will help you to remember this unit, and it will also help you to remember what units the the different substances have to be in. Okay, the different variables, that's what I'm trying to say, have to be in. Atmospheres, liters, moles, Kelvin. Atmospheres, liters, moles, Kelvin. And R is 0.0821. So let's take a look at how you use the ideal gas law. First thing you need to know is there's two kinds of problems. One is where you solve for one variable in PivNert. The conditions are not changing. Okay, everything is the same. And the other kind of problem, which we'll go over in the next lecture, is when you have a change in pressure, a change in volume, or a change in temperature. So again, PivNert is the formula for one variable. Okay, you're solving for one variable. There's no changes going on. The pressure, the volume, the number of moles, the temperature are all remaining constant. Okay, so if everything's constant, you don't see any changes taking place, then you can use PivNert. So let's take a look at how you do that with this example. So a balloon is filled with 34 grams of methane, the temperature is 33 degrees Celsius, and the pressure inside the balloon is 1,450 millimeters of mercury. What is the volume of the balloon? What am I going to say? Write what you know. Okay? And it's going to sort of morph into make a list. That's what I'm going to start saying. So always make a list. We have P, V, N, R, and T. PivNert. Make a list and then read through the problem and put it where you think it belongs. A balloon is filled with 34 grams of methane. So which variable does that go with? Well, N is the closest one because N is the number of moles. Okay, and remember that grams can be converted into moles. So we'll have to do that in a minute. The temperature is 33 degrees Celsius. Again, not in the correct unit, but we're going to put it right there. And the pressure inside the balloon is 1,450 millimeters of mercury. What is the volume of the balloon? So we're looking for volume. Put a question mark there. What is R? I just told you to memorize it. It's always the gas constant, 0.0821 atmospheres times liters over moles times Kelvin. Okay, atmospheres, liters, moles, Kelvin. Atmospheres, liters, moles, Kelvin. See it? You just get a rhythm. All right, so being that as it may, atmospheres, liters, moles, Kelvin. We are not in any of those units, so we have to do our conversions before we can plug in the problem. Okay, so we need to convert from millimeters of mercury into atmospheres. 1 atmosphere is equal to 760 millimeters of mercury. When you multiply that out, you get 0.99 atmospheres. So there's our P, pressure. Volume is what we're looking for. Number of moles. Okay, well, we need to convert from grams of methane into moles of methane. 1 mole of methane is equal to 16 grams. When you multiply that out, you get 2.125 moles of methane. R is always 0.0821, so notice I'm circling them when they're ready to go. Okay, and the temperature needs to be in Kelvin. Remember to go from degrees Celsius to Kelvin, you add 273. So we have 306 Kelvin. Now we check atmospheres, liters, moles, Kelvin. Everything is in the correct unit. So now all you have to do is plug and chug. PivNert. Plug it in. The pressure is 0.99. The volume is what we're solving for. N is 2.125. R, sorry, I ran out of room. R is 0.0821. And the temperature is 306 Kelvin. Okay? Solving for V, so multiply 2.125 times 0.0821 times 306. Divide both sides by 0.99. And you get a volume of 53.92. And remember, because we put atmospheres, moles, Kelvin, our answer comes out in liters, which is perfectly acceptable. Okay, another example to try. I want you to try this on your own. Pause the video and then come back and see if you got it right. Okay, So you should have paused the video and tried it out by now. Hopefully you made your list. Okay, always make a list. P, V, N, R, T. Okay, read the question. A 44-gallon steel barrel. Gallons is volume. With some water in it is heated to 300 degrees Celsius. 300 degrees Celsius. The pressure is measured to be 7.82 atmospheres. There's our pressure. How many grams of water are in the barrel? So we're going to look for number of moles and then convert that into grams when we're done. R, remember, is always 0.0821 atmospheres times liters over moles times Kelvin. Okay, so we have to make sure everything is in the correct units. Atmospheres, good to go. This is in gallons, so they told us that 1 gallon is 3.78 liters. So we're going to multiply this by 1 gallon is equal to 3.78 liters. 44 times 3.78 gives us 166.32 liters. Okay, so we have atmospheres, liters. Moles is what we're looking for. 0.0821 is good to go. That never changes. And we need to add 273 to the degrees Celsius to get 573 Kelvin. Now we just plug and chug. PV equals nRT. Pressure 7.82. Volume 166.32 equals N times R 0.0821 times T 573. So divide both sides by 73 and we get N is equal to 27.65. But remember, what is N? Moles of water. Okay, and we don't want moles. The question asks for grams. A lot of people would just stop at that point and be like, I'm done. You're not done. Okay, you got one more step. 27.65 moles of H2O. We know how to go from moles of water into grams of water. 1 mole is equal to 18 grams. So times 18, and you get 497.7 grams of water. There's your final answer. Okay, did you get that right? I hope so. Not too bad. So far, so good. Okay, tomorrow we're going to pick up with some more relationships and more laws and move into the combined gas law.